The Dark Souls games are a pair of the most fascinating games ever from a story perspective. But because of the subtle delivery of each game's story, a lot of it might go over the heads of even the most perceptive of gamers. Which is why, in preparation for the release of Dark Souls 3, we here at gameranx thought it would be helpful to do a rapid explanation of the story in the first two Dark Souls. Prepare yourself, because huge spoilers are coming your way. Dark Souls 1. First, let's break down this intro. It talks about the Age of Ancients, which was a time where everlasting dragons ruled the world. But then, there was fire. The fire births life, but more importantly, along with the fire, come the Lord Souls, which grant their vessels unbelievable strength and power. So much power, in fact, that they're actually able to go to war against the dragons. The Lord Souls belong to Nito, who's essentially the Grim Reaper, a bringer of death and disease, the Witch of Izalith, who commands her daughters of chaos and is the godmother of pyromancy in the game. Then there's Gwyn, the most powerful and badass of all the lords, who commands an army of knights and throws bolts of lightning from his hands like he's frickin' Zeus. And then there's our granddaddy, the progenitor of humans, the Furtive Pygmy, who is given a unique Lord Soul, the Dark Soul, a super weak soul designed to help usher in the Age of Dark once the fire fades. So, the three cool lords go to war against the dragons while the pygmy hides underground being all useless and stuff. Gwyn's all like, and the dragons are all like,
lightning sucks.
The witch was all like, burn, burn in my firestorms! To which the dragons replied,
Ow, hot.
and Nito's just like,
Disease.
with the help of a traitor dragon and Seath the Scaleless, the lords are successful in defeating the dragons and help usher in a new age in the Dark Souls world, the Age of Fire. But fire eventually fades, and once it does, someone needs to either rekindle the fire or usher in the dark times. The fire has already almost gone out once, but Gwyn sacrificed himself to extend the life of the flame and ended up becoming the Lord of Cinder, forever bonded to the first flame. When Dark Souls 1 actually picks up, it's thousands of years into the future. The fire is dying again, and you rise up as a chosen undead, destined to either rekindle the flame and extend the Age of Fire, or usher in the Age of Dark, as humanity was ordained to do. Over the course of your adventure in Dark Souls, you'll have to make your way through the aforementioned lords and those who would defend them, taking their souls along the way and making you all the more stronger, until eventually, you come face to face with the Lord of Cinder himself. Now, we've glossed over a lot. What is the Lord Vessel? What happened to the Witch of Izalith? Is the Furtive Pygmy really Manus of the Abyss? There's so much to unpack in Dark Souls 1, but for the purpose of this video, we're gonna move on to Dark Souls 2. So, Dark Souls 2. At its core, Dark Souls 2 is very much about the same thing as Dark Souls 1. A cycle of kindling the first flame, the flame dying out, and then a chosen undead comes along to either prolong the Age of Fire or usher in the Age of Dark. Ultimately, the choice doesn't really matter because the cycle will still happen regardless. Many kingdoms have risen and fallen over the course of countless years, and when the game begins, the kingdom that we get to view the story of is a kingdom called Drangleic. Drangleic was ruled by a king named Vendrick, who went through the same ordeals that your character went through in Dark Souls 1. He defeated powerful lords, was given the same choice of sacrificing himself to extend the Age of Fire, or not doing that and eventually letting the Age of Fire die out. Vendrick chose the latter of the two options, built a grand kingdom for himself and his subjects, and for a while, things were good. He hooked up with a pretty queen named Nashandra, massacred a bunch of giants on her whim, stole their technology to make nifty golems, and again, things were good. Well, I mean, it wasn't good for the giants, but for everyone else it was pretty good. Until they weren't. You see, by not linking the fire, the Age of Dark was starting to set in. The undead curse was taking hold over the kingdom, and Vendrick, being a human himself, was vulnerable to the curse. So, whether out of paranoia or out of a rightful fear, Vendrick starts to corral the undead in the Lost Bastille and even goes so far as to hunt them down, all while his brother, Aldia, does research up in his keep to try to find a way to prevent the Age of Dark from taking hold without Vendrick having to sit upon the Throne of Want, which would essentially rekindle the fire. All while this is happening, Vendrick starts to realize that his loving queen Nashandra is actually a power-hungry, manipulative bitch who wants to sit on the Throne of Want for herself. Before he succumbs to the undead curse himself, Vendrick does everything he can to ensure that Nashandra is not able to ascend to the throne, setting up numerous barriers specifically designed to keep Nashandra out. And that's where you come in, an easily manipulated undead who is kinda just making your way through Drangleic without really knowing why. Nashandra uses you to bypass Vendrick's barriers, reach the Throne of Want, and take the power for actually she's a really super easy boss fight, so never mind. With Nashandra out of the way and the throne open, it's now your turn to take a seat, sacrifice yourself, and extend the Age of Fire once again. This is obviously a very, very abridged explanation of the first two Dark Souls games. There's just so much lore permeating from every inch of the Souls series, but hopefully this video helps put some things into context and gets you ready for Dark Souls 3, which drops on April 12th, 2016. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to gameranx if you haven't already. Thanks once again, and we'll see you next time.